you have to move your ass, period. This idea that you can sit there and take a pill for this and drop your LDL, take a pill for that, drop this, take a pill for this, doesn't work. You have to move. These three markers, here are these three markers. And then we're going to talk a little bit about each one and why they're so important. This comes out as become a very controversial subject. But you can see that that number doesn't appear in these common threes, right? And what I call the triad of longevity. What's up, everybody? Welcome to No Limits with Dr. Thierry Jacquemin. I'm Dr. Thierry Jacquemin. We're going to talk today about longevity. Longevity is poorly understood, but obviously very important. Why is it poorly understood? It seems like a really easy concept. It's not. Some people will tell you that just living longer is necessarily better. I would argue against that. Living longer, yes, but living longer with quality, with vigor, and with purpose, right? Living longer, the extreme example, living longer if you're attached to a bunch of tubes on a ventilator in an ICU, dying a slow death over many months, it's not exactly the point. The point is to, yes, we get older, but not to get sick, right? So the whole point is to maximize your health, maximize your nutrition, maximize your lifestyle so that you can actually reach that point, right? So interesting studies have been done looking at the so-called blue zones in the world, right? And there are a few of those. You need to look them up, but the couple ones that are sort of most well-known are regions in Okinawa, a small peninsula in Costa Rica, Loma Linda, Sardinia, and a couple of the other ones. And there are different factors, right? Like geographically speaking, nutrition, lifestyle, social connections, all this other stuff. There's a very interesting subcomponent to these, which applies to three particular tests. And interestingly enough, there are three particular blood tests that are not always done in your routine medical examination, right? Because as we often talk about, the standard medical system is really more geared toward keeping you not too high, not too low, managing some disastrous illness. But let's face it, it really doesn't do a very good job of managing prevention, like actual true prevention, and ultimately optimizing your lifestyle so that you live longer but better, right? So my motto, everybody that knows me and that follows me knows this, my motto is literally live better, smarter, and longer. That's the whole point. You want to live better. You want to extract as much as you can extract from your life in the moment. You want to maximize what you have to give in the future. These three markers, here are these three markers. And then we're going to talk a little bit about each one and why they're so important. So the three markers that emerge across these populations that, as you can see, are very diverse, geographically speaking, are as follows. An HDL, as high as possible, ideally above 45 to 50, which not a lot of people have, at least in the United States. A triglyceride level that is, again, as low as possible, ideally below 100. And then the third number, which very, very often doesn't get checked, is insulin level less than 5. Why insulin level, you might ask? For all the stuff that we have heard for 4 decades about the idea that there is this ongoing war in the body between good cholesterol and bad cholesterol, I'm here to kind of shatter that construct for you. That's a bunch of nonsense. There really is no such thing. You need cholesterol to survive. Your brain thrives on cholesterol. Your hormones are made from that molecule, right? So this idea that there's good, there's bad, and there's nothing in between is a bunch of nonsense. Right? So much so that the idea that LDL is the killer of all, and we're going to do a lot more content than this because it's become more and more, as the evidence comes out, has become a very controversial subject. But you can see that that number doesn't appear in these common threes, right? And what I call the triad of longevity, right? Very simple. Insulin relates directly to blood sugar control, right? It's not cholesterol that's killing human beings on this side of the world, right? It's sugar, simple sugar. Simple sugar is inflammatory. Simple sugar causes oxidation of tissues, right? You literally are rusting and damaging and oxidizing tissues. It's not cholesterol that's doing that. It's sugar. So it stands to reason that if you have low amounts of insulin in the setting of normal glucose. And if you've ever been my patient, you know this because we always talk about it. The point is, if you're regulating your blood sugar at the expense, at the metabolic expense of very little insulin production, that is metabolically ideal, right? Because like most things in the human body, thrive on some sort of balance. So can you live without insulin? No, you cannot. But if you have an excess of insulin over a significant amount of time, make no mistake about it, that will kill you. It will shorten your lifespan. If you look at the triglyceride number, people also get this wrong all the time. Why? You go get your blood done, go get your blood work done with your annual visit or whatever the case may be, and they'll report, the lab will report your cholesterol, they're good, they're bad, the subtypes, whatever, and then they'll also put your triglyceride together with it. So people think, oh, there you go, fat again, I can't eat this, I can't eat this. No, what you cannot have is simple sugar. Triglycerides will spike as a byproduct of sugar excess, right? So you can see again, the trio, right? These three numbers that we're looking at, keep those in mind. One more time, HDL, triglycerides, and insulin, right? I had a college professor who used to say that if you want people to remember things, you have to repeat them at least 3 times, one after the other, otherwise people don't remember them. So out of these 3, you can see that insulin and triglycerides are fundamentally a manifestation of the same thing. If insulin spikes, that means your sugar is too high. If triglycerides spike, that means your sugar is too high. It's a sugar that makes you fat. It's a sugar that causes chronic disease. It's a sugar ultimately that kills people and doesn't allow them to live their full lifespan. HDL, this is the hard truth that a lot of people don't want to deal with. There are potentially some supplements that help a little bit, and yes, you should be taking your fish oil and your omegas and all this other stuff. It can only help you. But here is the thing, guys. The one thing that has been well proven to actually raise that number and therefore giving you an actual protective component as it relates to your lifespan is physical activity. You have to move your ass, period. This idea that you can sit there and take a pill for this and drop your LDL, take a pill for that, drop this, take a pill for this, doesn't work. You have to move. In fact, back to the idea of the blue zones, one of the commonalities in those populations, despite the fact that they eat different things, they have different culture beliefs, so on and so forth, is the fact that they all move, okay? If you don't want to get old, you have to move. Doesn't matter whether you like to or not. Doesn't matter if you enjoy it or not. You should, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're motivated to do it. You guys know, or you'll know a lot more once we go forward, but I'm less adept of motivation and I'm much more adept at discipline. You're an adult. You have to do what you have to do. Whether you like it or not doesn't mean squat, okay? Exercising regularly. And by the way, exercise means as much as you can, as forceful as you can, okay? Walking to the bathroom 3 times a day, not exercise, okay? Walking down the stairs and, to get the newspaper, not exercise. You're moving, great, better than sitting on the couch, but don't sit there and tell me that that's exercise, right? I deal with this all the time. Patients will tell me, I don't understand, I can't lose weight, I'm not fit, and I work out every day. It's like, okay, well, what do you do exactly for workout? Well, 3 days a week, I go for a walk for 20 minutes. It's not exercise. You're walking. You're doing a very basic function of a human being. You're doing this, and you should. Walking is amazing, but that's not enough. You're not doing enough of it. You're not doing it forcefully. If you want to raise your HDL, there has to be more of a challenge. Your heart rate has to come up. Obviously, a disclaimer, you have to see a doctor, make sure you're fit for exercise, blah, 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 blah. This isn't the point of this episode. The whole point is to get you to think about that triad. And there are for sure some different things that you can do. It doesn't mean that you have to become a professional triathlete and go hard keto and never again have a single gram of carbohydrate first because it's unreasonable for most people. And that isn't the point here. The point is that small, predictable changes over time get those numbers better. So what you have to do Whenever you get your blood work done, I believe you should do it at minimum a couple times a year, right? So once a year as an annual visit is not enough. It's the bare minimum, but it really doesn't allow you to see patterns and to see things developing. If you're getting blood work done, make sure that you're fasted for like a good 8-10 hours. Look at your HDL, look at your triglycerides, which a lot of times those get checked. But I'm here to tell you that a lot of those annual physicals, nobody bothers to check insulin. Insulin is a key component because, as we said, too much insulin, insulin excess, insulin resistance will kill you, will cause a shorter lifespan, will cause a lot of acute and chronic illnesses. You have to keep an eye on that number. Ultimately, back to the concept that the cholesterol wars are happening in your body and there's good, there's bad, and there's nothing in between is not true. LDL being this evil big molecule, not the case. There are multiple subtypes of LDL. That will be a much lengthier podcast in the future, but it's a very important subject because this is going to raise some eyebrows, but I'm telling you that there are a lot of people that are taking cholesterol medications who have no business taking cholesterol medications, who are basically just intoxicating themselves without having any real measurable reduction in their cardiac risk. Look this up. Look up the concept of blue zones. Start taking some positive measures in your life. Make those numbers better. Like this, share this, subscribe to the channel, give us some feedback. By the way, if you have some ideas for new content, for different subjects, for whatever it is that you want to hear about, let us know. We want to engage. We want to sort of build this community of awesomeness. And by the way, if you didn't like it, still share it, still subscribe it. If you don't watch another video, good luck to you. I want to thank my sponsors, Power Boost, Smart Invest, Jungle House, and Lux Galore. See you later, people.